the next method is stroboscopic methods. In this method, rotation velocity may be conveniently measured by using electronic stroboscopic lamp, which flash at a known and adjustable rate. The flash of that lamp, that is stroboscopic lamps, can be adjusted by manually. Okay, now by adjusting the flash of the stroboscopic lamps, an equilibrium is reached or a synchronism is reached, and depending upon the synchronism rate, the velocity or the rotation velocity is measured here. And in this method, the light from that stroboscopic lamp is directed onto the rotating member, which itself usually has some kind of spokes or gear teeth or some disturbance over its surface, and some other feature enabling the lock on. That is, when the light is flashing over the rotating member, some objection or some disturbance should be there so that it is detected. And if there is no disturbance or lock on or gears like that is there, then a simple color changed in an alternate color material or target is also used, such as black and white paper target. Now the frequency of the lamp flashing is adjusted until the target appears motionless. Okay, that is, lamp is flashed in such a speed that the target where the the light flash is touching is appearing motionless. And at this setting, the lamp frequency and the motion frequency are identical. That is, when the target to which we are flashing the light appear motionless, that frequency is noted down, and at this frequency both of this lamp frequency and motion frequency are identical, or let us tell they are in synchronism. And from the lamp's calibrated dial, there will be a calibrated dial to that lamp, and from that we can obtain the corresponding numerical value. Okay, now this synchronism can be achieved by at any flashing rate. Previously I have told at a frequency we are flashing the light, and when the target appears motionless, we are noting down the frequency of the lamp, and that is the synchronism rate corresponding to that particular frequency. Now such synchronism can be achieved at any flashing rate, that is an integral submultiple of speed to be measured. At any flashing rate we can obtain synchronism. So any two such flashing rate is taken, say R1 and R2, and depending upon that two flashing rate, we are making the lamp to achieve synchronism, and as a result we can obtain the speed of the rotating material. That is, at first we are rotating or flashing the light in a rate R1, and we are making the system to obtain inner synchronism. Similarly, after some time we are changing the flashing rate to R2, and again at this R2 flashing rate we are achieving synchronism. We are making the system to be in synchronism. Okay, and from this R1 and R2, by this equation we can obtain the speed which is to be measured here. So this is the method by which we are measuring rotation velocity here. So this method or this type of velocity measurement devices consist of moving coil and moving magnet pickups or material. So these methods are mainly used to measure vibratory velocities, because the flux density available from the permanent magnet is limited to in the order of 10,000 gauge, and an increase in the sensitivity can be achieved only by an increase in the length of the wire in the coil. Therefore this is somewhat complex, therefore it is limited to vibratory velocity measurement. And to keep the coil small in such cases, it also require fine wire and also high resistance, fine wire with high resistance. And this high resistance coil require high resistance voltage measuring devices in order to prevent the loading. Therefore, a typical magnetic pickup of about 500 ohm resistance will have a sensitivity of about 0.15 volt and a full scale displacement of 0.15 inch with a non-linearity of plus or minus 1%. A more sensitive coil that is used in a seismometer type instrument will be having 5 lakh ohm resistance and a sensitivity of 115 volt. The next one is DC tachometer generator for rotary velocity measurement. So DC tachometer generator means here the DC signals are being employed, and in the output we can obtain the DC value. What are the measurement? What speed we are measuring there, which is it can be displayed on the digital screen directly. And an ordinary DC generator, which will be either permanent magnet or separately excited magnet, and it will produce an output voltage which is roughly proportional, the output DC voltage proportional to the speed. And depending upon the design, such device can be made an accurate instrument for measuring speed rather than a machine for producing power. Normally DC generator is used for producing power, so by proper or accurate designing of that instrument, it can be used as a DC tachometer generator. It can be converted for measuring that voltage also, measuring the velocity. Okay, and the next one is eddy current drag up tachometer. As you can see here in the figure, this is the eddy current drag up tachometer, and the rotation of this magnet, there is a magnet in that cup with marked polarity north and south, and as this magnet rotates, it will induce the voltage into the cup in which it is placed, and as a result it will produce circulating eddy currents in the cup material. In the cup material, circulating eddy currents will be produced, and these eddy currents interact with the magnetic field to produce torque on the cup in proportion to the velocity of the magnet. Okay, and this causes the cup to turn through an angle theta. This will turn the cup through an angle theta until the linear spring torque is here. Linear spring torque just balance the magnetic torque. This magnet will be having a rotational torque inertia. Okay, so as the linear spring torque becomes balanced with the rotational torque of this magnet, it will start rotating this cup, okay, through an angle theta. Thus in steady state, the angle theta is directly proportional to input angular velocity omega I, and if the electrical signal is required by us, then any torque displacement transducer can be used to measure this angular displacement theta naught. And in this case, the dynamic operation is governed by the rotary inertia of parts moving with theta. Also the spring stiffness and the damping effect of the eddy current coupling between this magnet and the cup. That is, there will be an eddy current coupling between this magnet and the cup. Okay, so that and spring stiffness, also rotary inertia, all these factors depend upon the or will affect the dynamic operation of the system. Okay, so that is the working of this eddy current drag up tachometer. As this magnet rotates, eddy current will be formed, and as a result an angular displacement theta naught will be produced here, and which will be proportional to the scale measurement here, and as the spring constant, torque becomes equal to the magnetic material rotating torque, our reading will be obtained. And either we can note down the reading from the calibrated scale, or we can measure this angular displacement by some other manner. So that is this method. And next is moving on to tachometer generator. That is DC tachometer I have explained before, and the figure of which is given here. That is, DC tachometer means it is actually DC generator itself. It is the design of that DC generator is modified so that it operates as a DC tacho generator. Okay, you can see here the rotation, angular rotation is here. As the angular rotation is happening, the DC generator will produce a proportional output voltage, and by taking that output voltage into some CRO screen or some such that we can obtain the output voltage value which will be proportional to the angular input angular velocity. So that is it. And this is AC tacho generator circuit diagram. AC generator and the proportional output voltage, and it is also recorded like that we will obtain. So here in AC tachometer generator we are using induction motor, AC two-phase induction motor, squirrel cage induction motor is used, and in this case two phases are there and one phase is excited with the usual AC voltage and taking the voltage appearing at the second phase, and from the second phase we are taking out the output. And when the rotor is stationary there, then the output voltage is essentially 0. Okay, here you can see there are two phases, one phase and the other phase, and to this phase we are giving excitation, and from this phase we are taking the output. Okay, this is the rotation here, and this is what we need to measure. Okay, now if there is no rotation, the output voltage A naught is 0. The rotation in one direction, that is if it is rotating in this direction, it will cause the output AC voltage of the same frequency as the excitation and the amplitude proportional to instantaneous speed. And if the rotation is changed, then the amplitude frequency as well as this will change. Depending upon that we can obtain the value. The output voltage is in phase with the excitation in this case. The reversal of rotation, as I have told, will causes the same action but except the phase of the output shift. That is, A naught is the output. If in one direction of the rotation we are getting a proper sine wave, if the rotation is reversed, then we will be obtaining a cos shaped waveform. That is, 180 degree shift will be there to the waveform. Okay, so most commercial AC tachometers are designed to be used in AC servo mechanisms which conveniently operate on either frequencies from 60 to 400 Hz in between these frequencies, and that is why they are generally designed for operation at these frequencies. And for general purpose motion measurement, the frequency response of such units is limited by the carrier frequency to about 1/10 to 1/5 of carrier frequency. It is usually possible, however, to excite a tachometer designed for 400 Hz at considerably higher frequencies if necessary, although some of or all of the performance characteristics may change in that case. So that is about AC tachometer generator for rotary velocity measurement. So in next class, let us learn about acceleration measurement. Thank you.